It's a different atmosphere tonight in my parents' basement. Gotta turn the lights down, get real sexy. No, you can't get sexy because you live in your parents' basement, and that's a real style cramper. Right now, I have to film my vlog real late at night, so I should actually be quiet because everybody's trying to sleep. What's good, everybody? Welcome to my parents' basement. I'm your host, Rob G, filmmaker, living in his parents' basement, documenting the struggle so you can avoid mistakes I've made or get yourself out of a similar situation. Today, we're going to be talking about something that I'm sure everybody's thought about at one point, and that's how to make yourself productive even though you're in a place that you don't want to be. And being in your parents' basement or any place doesn't have to be a negative experience if you put yourself in the proper mindset. This show is all about mindset. You got to think about how to push yourself past that negative mental space into a frame of mind that's successful. You're in your parents' basement, I'm in my parents' basement. We're gonna get out together and we're gonna do this with filmmaking. If you feel like your style is being cramped by the place that you're in currently, you have to really analyze, is it the place that's cramping your style, or is it your mind state that's cramping your style? So there are obviously going to be some rules, some step-by-step tips that I'm going to give you to be able to navigate your way through any hostile situation that you might find yourself living/working in. By no means am I saying that I've got this totally worked out yet. I'm still working on each little bit of this a step at a time. The first thing that you need to remember is that you are in control of you, first and foremost. And that means your responsibilities need to be your responsibilities, buddy. You take care of your laundry, you take care of your food, you take care of your living space, you take care of your workspace. If you are stuck in a situation like being in your parents' basement or being in a halfway house or being in a roommate situation after having had your own place, you're going to make a better impression on the people that you live with if you're taking care of your daily responsibilities. You don't want anybody throwing some cliche stuff on you, saying that you're just living in your mommy's basement and she still does your laundry while you play video games all day. If you run around with that in the back of your conscience, that's gonna kill your creativity. And a lot of people say, oh, well, don't care what other people think about you. But really, if somebody thinks you're a slob and deep in your heart, you know that you don't care about your personal hygiene, you don't care about your outer appearance, that says a lot about your self-confidence. The second thing that's really important is to know that you're part of a unit now. Contribute where you can and then contribute some more. And that means by paying rent if you can afford to pay rent, but by definitely doing the chores around the house that keep the household running. You fix a sink that's clogged up, you unplug a toilet every once in a while. Sometimes it's as simple as somebody needs you to go run some errands for some groceries. Contributing where you can is cool, but that's really expected of you. You need to do a little bit more. Identifying areas where people could be living a better life if they just had a little bit more help. You chip in where you can to help them succeed because that symbiotically makes them want to help you succeed. And in the household that I'm currently living in, I noticed my mother really loved getting into gardening. She didn't know how she was gonna stay on top of things like watering or digging holes. So I felt like it was a good area where I could contribute more to be able to help her with a hobby that she loves. These things take time out of your day, but they come back to you amply in the amount of time that will be afforded to you by them in the goodwill that's been built up later on. Maybe somebody will cut you a little bit more slack when you're taking some extra time on a project and you need to really be focused. So, you've been living on your own for some time, you've really established yourself as an adult, and then some shit happens where you've got to go back to living with your parents or living with a roommate or living in a halfway house. Be careful with asserting your individuality. I know we're all adults here, or at least we're all trying to be adults here. And a lot of times when an adult's being told what to do by another adult, the first thing that they want to do is be like, "You're not my supervisor." Chances are, if you ended up in your parents' basement or some sort of other communal living situation through bad choices you made, A lot of those bad choices were fueled by your ego. Don't listen to your ego so much. Use your humility to your advantage. People love a humble person. Listen to your heart and your compassion for what other people are trying to tell you and what other people need and what other people are thinking. And that will really open you up to more opportunities in the future. A happy workspace is a productive workspace. If you're trying to avoid feeling unhappy in the living space or the workspace you're in, try not to piss people off. You know how it is when you live or work with somebody for a long time. You start to know their buttons. Escalating a situation becomes no problem, right? Because you know exactly, if I do this, this person's gonna do this. My challenge to you is know not to press those buttons. See where the conversation could escalate into an argument and bring it down. This is the de-escalation button. I know I can press this button and I can divert the situation completely. And when you learn that, that's like a samurai ninja move to making a happy workspace. So if you're living in your parents' house or you're living with any other family member, maybe you were close, maybe you weren't so close, but maybe this time together is exactly what you needed to really build a solid relationship together. You should absolutely take this time to do it. However, know when the bonding is becoming a burden. Your parents, your grandparents, your family members, they're only human. They want to be able to walk around the house naked every once in a while, and you should allow them the time to do that. One of the most scarring and traumatic experiences of my entire life was when I was a teenager and my grandmother was living with us. I went downstairs to her apartment one day to come get her for breakfast. Instead of knocking on the door, I just pushed it open and said, "Hey, Grandma," and there she was, butt naked with her boyfriend. It was awful. And it was a really tough lesson about personal space. If you have a spouse, if you have kids, and you're sharing a multi-generational home, make sure that your immediate family does family time together. That way, the other people who aren't immediately involved in raising your kids get alone time in their house to just be them. Many people will say, this should have been the first thing I told you about. You should have a plan to get out and work it. Do you have a plan? Are you working your plan? Do you know what your next step is? If you don't, you should probably really sit down and commit that to paper first. The longer you're in this situation, the longer your headspace is going to be constantly bombarded with these negative questions of, did I really fail to launch? Am I really not cut out for the career that I chose? Am I a failure at being a provider? These questions will plague you if you don't fill your mind with the plan that it's going to take to move beyond this situation. Work through each step of your plan without deviating. Be flexible, right? But don't adapt too much. Trust yourself, because if you start deviating from your plan too much, you're second guessing yourself, and you're second guessing your ability to plan yourself out of a situation. And then when you start to doubt yourself, replace those thoughts of doubt with thoughts of how your plan is progressing. Otherwise, you're just constantly going to feel like you're not good enough, like something's always holding you back. But be realistic about that shit. Don't get everybody all hyped up that you're moving out next week when there's no way in hell you're going to be able to pull that off. It just makes everybody upset. It makes everybody feel like they're unstable. People start feeling like they need to assert control over their own lives when there's instability around. And when they start asserting control over their own lives, that's that individuality bumping up against your individuality again, and that leads to problems which can really kill creativity. Realism is working your plan without overblowing its potential. So be realistic with yourself. If it's going to take 5 months, take 5 months. If it's going to take 5 years, take 5 years. Get your money right first, then make the move. If you go out without the right financial resources to make this really work, you're going to end up back where you are. And boomeranging is just gonna be bad for your confidence, man. You wanna give yourself the benefit of knowing that if you set a goal, you can achieve that goal. Don't sabotage yourself. Nah, wait till I get my money right. That's the time to move, right? Don't let living in your parents' basement or living in any other communal situation make you feel like you can't be creative. Some of the best works of literature of all time were written in prison. Some of the greatest rap songs of all time were written in prison. Just like any other material possession can't be attributed with who you truly are, living in your parents' basement is not who you truly are. But you can allow it to become a large part of who you are if you don't work on the mindset. But don't let working towards your dream make you forget you're still living in your parents' basement. And you have a little bit of growing up to do before you can get out. So I hope you guys are all thinking about ways that you can get out of your parents' basement. But I also really hope that you guys are thinking about ways that you can contribute to the household and make the place that you live a more productive and happy environment to be in. I really think that this is the way to get out of this situation. And if you agree, go ahead and bump me a like. Till next time, I'm your host, Rob G. Get money, get out of the basement.